Alright, everybody. Let's get ourselves going here with our recaps. Apologies for the delay in the action. Fortunately, we had a little bit going on that ran too long, and I was like, there's no way this thing's going to get out before the game, so I'm just going to push it to the morning. Let's start running through it quick, though. So, first, Houston Dash played Seattle Reign last week. They are, at this point, most likely going to start playing at the time that this thing is recording. So let's talk about what they did here against Seattle, which was not much. These two played a pretty balanced game. Houston did get more shots. There were a lot of shots in this game. But realistically, everything ran about even. Seattle barely had a possession lead. Houston barely had a shot lead. Shots on target were about equal. Seattle had a bunch of yellow cards. There really isn't a lot to say here because it just amounted to two squads that just could not get out of the feeling out process. They could not really break down the defensive lines. And to their credit, that's an excellent place to be in if you are one of those two teams. And they both come away with a point. That was enough to push Houston up into 7th place. They're a point up on the 8th place. Team's tied for 8th. So it's good for them. Seattle still up, hanging around in the top 5 and top 6. So there's room to improve. But yeah, Houston continues to overperform here early. That said, the longer this season goes on, the more that we're going to have to start casting a judgment on how high these teams actually can get. Like, we're approaching the 1/3 of the season mark here. We haven't hit the 10-game mark, but we're getting there. Right. So let's move to a more eventful game from that day, and that is Washington Spirit beating the Orlando Pride 4-2. Finally looking like the Spirit team I was expecting to probably run up and, if not take second, take the whole shield. Right from the start, they were jumping on it. Trinity Rodman sets up 2 goals for Sofia Cantor, who gets both in the 2nd and the 6th minute. So that combo just sets them up really early on. Lucia de Guglielmo ends up with a yellow card early on as well. First 20 minutes was very eventful for Washington. That said, as things kept running, Orlando found their way getting back in it. Barbara Banda, 2 goals within about 6.5 minutes, 33rd and 39th minute. Rafael got her the first one set up, and then Oyana Hernandez got the second. Now, the issue with Orlando, and we've been seeing it as a pattern, Banda right now is very much in position to take the top mark here in goal scoring. She is leading the league, and it doesn't appear to be changing anytime soon, but she is head and shoulders above her team in terms of offensive productivity, and that is going to bite them if she cannot get some support here later on in the season. Like, it's too easy to target one player right now, and that's exactly what Washington did in the second half. They exposed the big weakness in Orlando's offensive production. She was covered, no goals, and then Washington just had to get the lead back, which they did in the 55th when Claudia Martinez hit the go-ahead goal from a Lacey Santos setup, which is misspelled. Hang on. That was bugging me. All right. And then we had Trinity Rodman finally get a goal of her own. Kawasi gets the assist there. And then a few more yellow cards from Washington. Overall, Orlando, you see Barbara Banda got her name lit up here. And other than the people assisting, that was about it for Orlando. That's the only time you see ORL on here. And that pretty much summarizes their team in that game. Washington is definitely returning to the form I was expecting. Orlando is entering a middle ground. I am not seeing this team as a playoff team unless they can get some more goal support here, because you cannot be this reliant on one scorer. And then we had a bit of a surprise. North Carolina, who I thought was starting to return to form, turns out no, they are not. Um, they are desperate to return to the form to the point that they actually got a direct red card right at the end of the game. Um, so Feli Rausch will not be in the next match. But from an early go, Croy Bethune gets Kansas City ahead. Michelle Cooper gets the 2-0 lead. And then, realistically, that's all Kansas City had to do. It was a hot start, and then they just kind of rode the wave until the game was over. Monica Matsukubo managed to get a goal in for Carolina in the 85th, and they spent the remaining time in the game just desperately trying to get that second goal that never came. This game intrigues me for a variety of reasons, most notably of which is that it puts Kansas City and North Carolina basically in the same spot outside of the playoffs, kind of middling and wondering what steps need to happen. Kansas City has been so inconsistent, I'm not sure what to expect from this team on a week-by-week basis. I know they're good, but I know there's a lot of problems. North Carolina, this same thing, just inconsistency, settling for ties, a lot of one-goal defeats. They're just on the wrong side of a lot of outcomes, and this might just be a year where you're on the wrong side of the outcomes. You see it a lot in like football. Like some years, you'll see like the Minnesota Vikings will win like every close game, like 2 years ago, and they ended up competing for the number one seed on the last game of the season. And then on the other hand, the next year they're losing all the close games, and they only end up with a 9-8 record, missed the playoffs by I believe it was 1 or 2 wins. Like it. That's what it comes down to. Like sometimes the close games go in your favor, sometimes they don't. In a league this tight, that's what it looks like North Carolina is kind of faced with this year. We'll see if that changes, but as of right now, this is definitely a sell stock on the courage kind of situation. Moving on, the game we lived, Utah Royals coming away with a 1-0 victory over Angel City. Well, the goal happened 32 minutes in after what had been a very competitive first 30 minutes, which I actually thought Angel City was more dominant in. Paige Cronin sets up Chloe Lacase for a goal, and there it is. They have the 1-0 lead, and that's where it is for the rest of the game. What really hurt Angel City was in injury time of the first half. Mayara taking a direct red card. Between her and Lacasse, there was a scuffle. Lacasse got yellow carded for the move, but Mayara's reaction was so ridiculous and after the play, as in the minds of the ref, that they gave her a red card. And from the way it went, it was just not working the rest of the way. To Angel City's credit, they still managed to, for most of that half, keep the possession, time of possession in their favor. Even with 10 players, they were moving very aggressively on the ball. Utah basically controlled the ball from like the 89th minute onward, but up until that point, like it had been a real challenge to shutting down Angel City's offense, at least stopping them from attacking the goal. And there were a few shots, both in the first and second half, that Utah should have given up a goal, and credit to their keeper on that. That was an impressive display. I see a lot of cards, especially as that game ran later. Utah, throughout that Angel City attack in the second half, was yellow carding. And then Angel City doing the same after they lost control of the ball around the 89th minute. So you can kind of read the flow of the game from there. I'm going to go in more detail when the Angel City specific one comes up on Friday. All right, Chicago and Portland. This went about what you'd expect. Portland just the better squad overall. I was not expecting the game to say 1-0 for as long as it did. Moultrie's goal in the 17th minute off of Torden's assist. I saw this goal, and then I kind of went away from the game for a while. I came back like it was the 84th minute. It was still 1-0, and I was like, how did you not get away from here? But by the same token, I also knew that I had thought Chicago might be an awkward matchup because of Portland's play style. And it ended up kind of being that way. The goal in the 89th minute, Moultrie to Turner, did finally make it 2-0, but if you look at it, it is still kind of a Portland game. In spite of the fact that it was the Chicago Stars, Chicago still led the time of possession and led in shots and was only one behind in shots on target. So Portland is still playing this very odd let the other team really control the pace stratagem, and we'll see if it keeps working. Right for now, it has been. So I will give them their credit for it, but I don't know. It's just something about this entire run they've been on doesn't feel right. I don't get it. But we'll keep monitoring it. As long as they keep winning, the system's working. It feels different from the way most teams are generating their successes. So it definitely makes them a team worthy of study. And if they continue at this pace, this is going to be a season that will need to be one for the discussions. And what does it mean to succeed in these type of matches? Moving on, we got Boston and Denver. This was the game of the week. Denver jumping out to a goal in the 18th minute. Nichelle Prince from Boston right before halftime heads a ball in, and we have a 1-1 tie. Now, this was a game that everyone was basically writing off the legacy as the incompetent of the two expansions. So I think everyone was expecting Denver to win this, which when they took the lead in the 77th minute, I'm pretty sure everyone assumed that was it. But Boston does not like being told that. They fought back. They made sure they got themselves back in this picture. And Traore equalized the game at 90. And then 4 minutes into injury time, Bianca St. George gives them the lead. That is their first ever win. So Boston finally off the schneid. Congratulations to them. The spite is a heck of a motivator, and they were definitely trying to spite the entire media apparatus that has been dumping on them. So I appreciate the fight that this team finally came together on this day. And yeah, Denver obviously allowing this to happen. Like they are an inexperienced in terms of being a franchise, so we'll see what they are able to do. They will most likely, from what I'm seeing, they'll probably miss a playoff berth this year just because they don't know how to finish games. So at least that's where I'm looking at it. Gotham and their big match with Racing Louisville. I remember pointing out in the preview, this was the one where they had the big ticket giveaway from the mayor. And so Jaden Shaw gets a goal 16 minutes in. That's pretty much it for the scoring, but it was not for lack of trying. Gotham dominated time of possession, dominated shots on target. They were trying to make a show of it. They wanted to rack up a bunch of goals for people. And so at least the fans were treated to a very aggressive, fun Gotham team. And yeah, good for them. Louisville still trending at the bottom. They are an interesting team to watch, but yeah, they're going to be in the bottom quarter of this league just because they're not a consistently reliable squad, and even when they are, it's that they're going to score a lot and also give up a lot. So they're going to be sitting close to the back here. The surprise of the week, though, came at the end when Bay FC came away with a 1-0 win on San Diego Wave. I don't think anyone was expecting this one. Rachel Kunananji gets the goal in the 5th minute. And then for 85 minutes, just nothing. They each had penalty kicks within a couple of minutes of each other, and they were stopped. And that was basically the best chance for both teams to score again. Bay FC, a very aggressive, a lot of yellow cards trying to hold this team back. But yeah, it was a very nice moment for Bay FC. I don't think I was expecting them to make any headway, and yeah, they surprised me. There's no other way to really go over it. They surprised, I think, a lot of people here, taking a team that was supposed to really just dominate over this thing and pulled something off that was really cool here. So yeah, I will say Bay FC, that puts them at 9 points. They're actually technically in a tie for the eighth position. I still don't think they have the consistency to really make a run for the playoff spot, but that knocked San Diego Wave off the top. So this will drop them back into third. If Utah wins their midweek game, that'll drop them to fourth. And then they have a very big rivalry coming up here with Angel City, which will be living. So look forward to that. But that concludes the recap of the week. I'll be coming in with a recap of the game that at this point has definitely started, and some Angel City stuff. So there's a few things coming up here. Look forward to those. In any case, I will see you all later. Go Angels.